Alright, this video I'm going to speak about knee injuries. Um, I've been training quite a bit of people while I've opened up this school, and I've noticed that that's one of the most common injuries that I'm running across that people have, especially as you age. And even when you are young, you can still get knee injuries pretty easily. I mean, that knee is very susceptible to damage, and it could be some serious damage that could really prevent you from having great joy in life. Prevent you from doing a lot of different things. I mean, basically prevent you from walking, and just enjoying life to the fullest. How can you enjoy life without being able to walk properly? So it's a sad thing, and it's also just an eye opener, to see what's the best method to train people and to decrease the chances of this sort of injury. And I see that that's probably why that's one high likely reason why a lot of people cannot train in all the aspects of the martial arts, because it's just not healthy and safe and could potentially even be dangerous for them specifically. I'm training. One person actually hurt their knee really bad while training here, and that was due to a lot of jump kicking, just overdoing the jump kicking and doing it even when he's tired, and just a lot of pressure to advance that caused the injury. So he actually tore his ACL while training here, which was really bad. That pretty much really changed the way that I instruct, to pretty much minimize that from occurring again in the future. But that occurred actually in the training here. Another person that I'm training already had prior knee injuries and had to get some surgery. And then another person that I was training actually got in a motorcycle accident that caused a knee injury. And then another person that I'm training got a knee injury just recently from playing soccer. So you got all these knee injuries. You got two people that had ankle injuries. One person had an ankle injury from soccer. Another person had an ankle injury from some of the jumping kicks here. But her ankle did heal pretty quickly, and the other guy playing the soccer took a little while. So we're talking about the knee in particular. It's fragile. Sports such as basketball, football, soccer, those are all sports that really can aggravate the knees. And especially martial arts styles that incorporate a lot of jumping, such as the taekwondo, can really aggravate the knees. So jumping is an extremely extremely beneficial exercise, and can really help enhance your fitness, but at the same time it can really put your health in jeopardy when you get older. Not just jumping, but just running as well, because you see soccer, you don't really have to jump much, but you're running in many different directions and you're switching directions very quickly, just like football, just like basketball. So I see that due to the nature of these injuries, and to see how common these injuries are amongst the people that I train and just the public in general, it puts you in a position as a martial arts teacher to really be more cautious and safe in what type of techniques that you teach, and to have people train in. Because if you're focusing on techniques that are maybe the people are not ready for, it could cause these types of injuries. Just like lifting heavy weights is not for everybody. If you do it the wrong way, you could get hurt very easily. These dynamic movements in the martial arts is not for everybody. If you don't do it the right way, you could hurt yourself, pretty badly. So, but just because a person is unable to perform certain dynamic movements, it doesn't mean that they cannot be proficient in self-defense. You could very much be very proficient in self-defense um, without all these dynamic movements. The dynamic movements are more for people that have achieved a very high level of athleticism. But even if you have achieved a high level of athleticism, accidents still occur. Look at what happened to D. Rose. Look at what happened to Kobe Bryant. All right, that person that just recently got hurt in soccer, she was in very great shape. So, but the kneecap, even though you're in great shape, the kneecap can be very weak. It is very weak. And, you can get injured. So that's something that you really have to be careful about when you train. Be very careful when you're doing any spins, spinning kicks when you're jumping off the ground. And, oh yeah, another guy that I'm training tore his ACL playing football. So you see how many people that I've trained that have hurt their knees very bad. It's a lot of them. The kneecap is a huge, common injury that could really disrupt your enjoyment in life. That kneecap injury, ankle injuries, shoulder injuries. So these are all things to keep in mind. Like when you lift heavy weights, you can really hurt your shoulders pretty bad. Alright? When you jump, when you run, when you do any of these dynamic movements, you can hurt your knees very bad. Alright, soccer, basketball, football, the jumping style of kicking in the martial arts. You have to be very careful, especially as you age. And just realize that, hey, these dynamic movements are more for people that are, first you need to have proper form and technique. You got to be careful. And you just have to make sure that you're athletic. You got to be at a high level of athleticism to perform these techniques properly. But at the same time, as I stated, accidents do happen. But regardless of that, even if you don't practice these dynamic techniques, you can still be extremely proficient in self-defense. I'm starting to really get into the firearms training, especially with the new law that's being passed in Illinois with concealed carry. It makes it very relevant for the street combat. And this requires, you don't need to jump, you don't need to do fancy things. It's just very efficient and quick just to pull the trigger. Pulling a trigger is not hard, very easy to do, and you could really defend yourself from a criminal or defend yourself from somebody that's trying to hurt you very swiftly and efficiently. It doesn't require a lot of fancy stuff. This is as efficient as it really gets for modern day right now. So we need to keep our mind in perspective of what we're training for, and we gotta train safe. And even training with firearms, you gotta make sure you train very safe, because you can hurt yourself very bad. You can kill yourself if you don't do it the right way. So we need to be extra cautious with the way we train to prevent knee injuries, ankle injuries, shoulder injuries. Even right now, I got an elbow injury that I still need to recover from. But it's a minor one. I can still do a lot of different things. But these injuries that we experience, we have to learn from it. We gotta learn from other people's experiences as well. When they get injured, we gotta learn how not to get injured ourselves in the same way. So we gotta keep that in mind during our journey.